Hey guys, we are back for another review, and today we're taking a look at something that I pre-ordered like 7 months ago. It has been forever, and I've been eagerly, well, impatiently awaiting this thing to show up. We are looking at the Boss Fight Studio Bucky Hare Storm-Toed Trooper. This is one that I was really hoping I would have already had. I was really hoping I'd have it in time for my 2018 top 10 list. I really think it would have been a strong contender. So it'll probably show up on the 2019 list because I am really excited about this one. Bucky Hare is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and Boss Fight Studio has just been killing this line. This thing comes on the standard style resealable card like all the other figures in the line, so you can take it out, put it back in, no harm done. He comes in this bubble. You can see him there with all his accessories. We've got some backer card artwork done by Neil Adams, and the back side of this package has more of that comic style artwork. We've got a bio written by Larry Hama, and we have got product shots of the other figures in the line. So just even at the packaging level, this line is pretty stellar. But let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. Alright guys, here we go, our Storm-Toed Trooper out of the package, and again, this is one that I've really been looking forward to. So we got a lot to look at here. There is a decent smattering of accessories. I've got two figures so we can look at different combinations of parts. We can compare them to the vintage figure as well, but we are as usual going to kick off things with articulation and see how this guy moves around. So starting at the head, you have got a ball. So he looks up really far. That's actually very, very nice. He goes down a little bit. You just kind of hit that collar piece right away. Bobble side to side, rotation. Arms go out, swivel. We've got swiveling and single jointed hinges for the elbow. And then you've got a peg that goes into the wrist. There's really no joint. There's no hinge there. It's just a peg. He does have a waist twist. And then we've got ball pegs that go into the thighs. So they go out a little bit, but they kick forward. He doesn't really kick back too much just because of the fact that he's got, you know, this big butt piece back here. We do have a single jointed rotating knee joint, and then you've got rocker and a little bit of a hinge down at the ankle. It's not too much. He hits the Sculpt, these pouch sock things get hit right away, but the rocker is really nice. And in general, I think he's articulated about as well as I expected for his Sculpt, but he's definitely not as articulated as some of the other figures. He has a little bit less dynamic posability compared to Bucky or Jenny or Deadeye. Now, where this guy truly shines, and what is ultimately the most important aspect of this figure for me, is the looks department, the sculpt and the paint. And like I said, I really dig the vintage figure. I think it's a solid toy to begin with. This is the best update I think we could ever have possibly gotten for this. Boss Fight Studio just did a stellar job with this thing. There's no other way to talk about it, no other way to describe it. This figure looks about as perfect as I could want it to look, and I'm really, really happy with it. He has some solid paint apps, the sculpt is on point, and just the general design of this figure is fantastic. It's modern while also being very cartoony at the same time, so I just dig everything about this. So we've got, just to run through some of the details here, we've got his humongous boots, humongous feet, which is kind of a thing in this line, at least for some of the characters anyway. We've got some gold accents on the green. We've got those weird sock pouch things. We've got the kind of tubing padding design that runs through the knees and then the shoulders and the elbows. We've got some lime green kind of flesh tone colors with darker green accents. We got those on the hands, which are both trigger fingers out of the box. We do have extras. And then we've got some gold accents on his harness, on his wristbands, and we've got the Tampo Death's Head logo that is there on his chest. So it all kind of works really well. I just dig the green and the black and the gold color scheme. It works for me. I think it stands out really, really well. The little details on this guy are very nice, you know, but at the same time, it's still very cartoony. When I look at this, all I can think of is the cartoon, and that is ultimately what I really want. But of course, the big thing, literally in some fashion, is the head sculpt. We definitely have to zoom in on that thing because there is a lot to look at here, and that's ultimately the kind of key feature for these little guys. So I'm sure I'm not alone saying that the head is my favorite part of this figure. I think that Boss Fight did a stellar job here. Everything is just perfect. Very cartoony, very ultra accentuated, you know, just kind of larger than life detail here. So you've got that humongous gritting teeth mouth that's just got a massive teeth in there. I mean, look at all those things. Those chompers are humongous. They're painted exceptionally well. You've got some of that pink gum line showing through. So you've got the dark green helmet. You've got the complex K on this side, and then the other side has the backwards version just to keep things symmetrical with the helmet there. And I think it just looks fantastic. And then of course you've got the kind of purple pink orbs that sit over the eyes that kind of magnify it, because the entire helmet is actually translucent plastic and it's painted. So this is the actual plastic showing through, and then they've painted all the details on top of, or well, the green. The helmet is removable though. So this is part of the accessories in some way. So you just peel it off and you've got a little slot there, which if you don't mind the slot, you've got another option for your figure because you can just leave them like that. It's not uncommon to see them without something on their head. So we've got green paint on there. You can see those eyes a little better. And in general, I just think they did a stellar job here. There's nothing I would change about the way that this little guy looks. I think it is about as perfect as it gets. But of course, we do have accessories to talk about, and we've got some different configurations we can put these guys in. All right, now as far as accessories goes, there are a few different options with this guy. So we have got 3 different weapons, we've got 3 extra hands, we have got an extra head accessory, and then we've got an extra hat, or helmet replacement, depending on what you want to do. So we have got this head over here, which has a different facial expression, so it's not as gritting. It's still gritting its teeth, because that's what these characters do, but it's not as wide open on both sides. It's kind of shifted to one side. And then this one has a cap, so you can maybe make him into be like your Storm Toad captain or something like that. And what I find really funny about this, it does have a little gold paint on there, is that this is a snapback hat, and it's actually sculpted so you can see the little pegs on the back, and you can see the snap that is kind of, lifting off the back, which is just an absurd detail that I'm not sure needed to be there, but I find it really funny, and it's just fantastic that they even went that far to do something like that. So we've got an extra head, we've got an extra hat. We do have some other accessories. Of course, we've got weapons. So we've got the pistol, we've got this kind of curved blade, and then we've got the big, we've got this big rifle here. And this guy's pretty interesting because it has this swiveling piece on it right here. Whatever this is supposed to be, I'm not really sure, but you've got that. I thought I broke it at first, and then I realized, no, it's supposed to do that. I find that the Toad doesn't hold this one as well as he holds the other stuff. I really can't seem to get him into two-handed poses either, which I guess is not too surprising, but I just probably need to work on it a bit too, just to see what he's capable of. But I think he holds it pretty decently enough, and then at the end of the day, I really prefer the pistol for this guy, but these are a bit of an homage, at least in terms of color, to the vintage figure as well, because they have a similar kind of color scheme. And then in addition to this kind of stuff, we do have extra hands. So we've got a pointing finger hand for a right hand replacement, and then you've got 2 open palm or style pose kind of hands for both sides. So maybe you could have him doing like an arms up where he's, surrendering, or just some sort of style pose with his hands. But, you've got a lot of options with this guy. As usual with the boss fight stuff, they packed this guy full of accessories, and you can essentially make 2, maybe 3 if you take the hats entirely off, 2 to 3 entirely different figures, and have yourself a whole squadron of Toads. And like I mentioned, here is a comparison between our new figures, obviously, with the original figure in the Bucky Hare vintage line. This guy is just an old favorite of mine. I really like this figure, still do. Have no real issues with it outside of the fact that it's one of those odd figures that has a pre-posed sculpt, so you really only have to put him in one specific way. But beyond that, this is a figure that I still like. They don't really go together too well, but they go well enough. You've got kind of a fat, weird-looking Toad to go along with your new ones. There's obviously some inspiration drawn here, not to mention the fact from the cartoon and the comics, so they don't look too crazy different outside of the fact that they are just, of course, very much updated. So you can definitely see there is a lot of work put into bringing this figure to life compared to what we got, almost 30 years ago. So at the end of the day, this is every bit the figure that I wanted it to be. Before I got mine, I started seeing people get theirs on social media and, seeing people getting little squads of them, and my impatience, my anticipation grew, and that's when I sort of realized that the 2 that I had ordered really aren't going to do it. I'm definitely going to need another set. I never expected that I would need 4 of these things, but at the end of the day, I just have to have them. They look too good, and I can't emphasize just how much I love the sculpt on this thing. It is about as perfect as it's going to get without maybe going into a different scale. I think Boss Fight's done an exceptional job here. Paint is on point, sculpt again is on point. They have so many options as far as the looks to make them slightly unique but still a nameless face in the complex Toad army. I just think that this is easily the best figure in the line so far, just because of all the options that you have. And that's not to say the rest are bad, because the rest are damn near perfect. So this is, for all intents and purposes, one of the best figures that I have gotten a hold of in quite a while. Like I said, I wish I'd had him in time for my 2018 top 10, because I know for sure that he would have been on there. So look out for him on the next list at the end of this year. So that's going to do it for this look at the Boss Fight Studio Bucky Hare Storm Toad Trooper. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.